A many-pronged approach should be pursued. Okay, so I'm letting DSA members do what they want to do. I don't understand this, right? I'm trying to educate people on Marxism, Leninism, and someone comes in and, you're not letting, am I not letting DSA members chew their bubblegum? Like, I don't understand that. I'm other people. I'm giving you the alternative politics. Why is that offending you and making you think that I'm somehow, this is what I'm saying. This is what I was actually talking about yesterday. As soon as you make a critique of DSA strategy or tactics, or say, hey, I don't agree with this tactic of the DSA, somebody says, oh, you're not letting them do their thing. I'm letting them do their thing. You tell me what is wrong with our tactic. Because it's not that we're not chewing bubblegum. DSA is over there chewing the bubblegum. We're over here walking on the sidewalk or whatever else, right? We're both doing our thing. Are we not allowed to point out what we think is tactically incorrect about each other's strategy, or are we just not allowed to talk about that? I don't understand that. Are we children or something? Is that somehow harming the DSA? You know? I don't think you're being hostile. I just don't understand exactly what the point is. Like, I don't understand the saying, we can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. The DSA, trust me, they're doing a lot of bubble gum chewing. Right? So then I'm over here walking. So you know what I mean? Your statement, therefore, it makes no sense. I'm giving you the alternative. I'm giving you that perspective. I'm not saying that all DSA members should immediately stop everything they're doing or whatever the hell. Let them do that's always going to exist. By the very nature of the way social history is developing, there is going to be social democrats. And in fact, there's going to be more social democrats than Marxist-Leninists. Right? We know that already. Until there's a revolution here, and not just a democratic revolution, but a socialist revolution, the Marxist-Leninists are going to be in the minority. That's just the way it is. We'll be a tiny segment of society. That's why we believe that the Vanguard is necessary. Right? I understand and accept that. So what I'm saying is, like, when somebody says to me, we need to allow them to chew bubblegum. Well, remember, they vastly outnumber us. They represent a segment of the political spectrum that, in our opinion, is not yet revolutionary consciousness, not yet fully revolutionary conscious, and they will never be. Not until we have a revolution. Right? And that's what we have to understand. Complaining, welcome in. And people in the DSA will come up against the limitations of working within the system, within reformism, and they will look for alternative organizations. But what we have to understand is, because we're such a small segment, if we're not very loud and very clear about our positions, like our tactical differences with the democratic socialists, then those people who become disillusioned with democratic socialism won't know the difference between us and them. You know what I mean? And that's very important, because the only other people that are attacking, when we're not attacking, but the only other people who are critical of the democratic socialists are ones who are critical of them for reasons of opposing them on class interests, the bourgeoisie, the right. We're critical of democratic socialists because we want to grow our own movement, find as many conscious revolutionaries as possible, because we understand we will always be in the minority. So we need to encourage as many people who are class conscious as possible, so that we can find leaders of our revolution, people who love the people, who can step forward, who can put Juche down take Juche from that theoretical pie in the sky language and bring it down to the street boogaloo. Remember? We need to be able to do that. Yeah, and exact socialist gamer. Yeah, you got to let the mass. Of course, we understand the masses have to exhaust the contradictions. But if us Marxist Leninists who are here class conscious now don't start building whatever institutions we can, as limited as they may be, whether that is political, education institutions, etc., that when they start breaking away, there'll be nothing there. Why wouldn't we start building institutions, and as more come over to our side, they understand that. But in my opinion, like, if you think at the Cuban Revolution, how many Marxist Leninists were in the Cuban Revolution, comrade? 50. It wasn't until well after they declared that they were building a socialist system that it was other people in Cuba started becoming conscious of Marxism, Leninism, and started becoming real solid communists. And that's what we have to understand. We have to understand that like DSA is just, they're in a different class conscious position than us. And that's okay. We understand that we might be in a minority as small as a group of 50. But we can make revolution because we understand that our program is correct. We can lead revolution because when things go really, really fast, when months are happening in a day, and the bourgeoisie has stepped up the repression to the maximum degree, that's when supporters from the moral realm of DSA will start coming over to our side. Maybe not becoming members, but becoming supporters of the struggle of the more militant communists, who they have been lumped in with now. Who they have been accused of being communists and Marxist Leninists themselves, you know? No, and nothing I'm saying is against you, Sean. Like, nothing at all. Don't worry. I'm just talking about the difference in, and I always want to make this clear. Whenever I'm talking about whether it's anarchism or democratic socialism, it's not against individuals, right? These aren't, like, individuals are going about their lives trying to learn the best they can, trying to find the best truth that they can, and we have to give them lots of room to do that because they are constantly attacked and they're constantly attacked and bombarded with false consciousness from all angles. We understand that. That's why we have to continuously repeat ourselves over and over again. That's why if you want to actually be a revolutionary, if you want to be a communist and part of a party, then you should never get tired of repeating yourself. You know? So no, nothing you have said has upset me or anything like that. Like that's exactly the conversation we were having. So I appreciate you bringing those points forward. Because like it's just a common thing that I hear. So I do hope that, like, I'm very excitable and I'm a loud guy. I know that. So I hope I didn't come across as like being aggressive towards you or anything, because I promise you I'm not. It's just that's such a common thing that I hear, and it just demonstrates the point of what it was saying. It's like we know that we're in the minority. We know that the DSA will outnumber us and those democratic socialists will outnumber us for a long time. That's just more a reason for us to be very clear about where the demarcation is between democratic socialists, between reformists, and between revolutionaries. So that more people who, because you defaulted, if you think about it this way, you default to anarchism or you default to DSA before you go to Marxism Leninism, because USSR and all of these other countries have been demonized your entire life, right? So that the first places that you end up going are DSA. They are anarchist spaces. So that's why it's actually important for us to talk about those ideological differences, because so many baby Marxist Leninists who don't even know what Marxism Leninism is, who has never thought or heard of any of these ideas before, that's where they are. A lot of them are in those spaces. with misunderstandings of USSR, misunderstandings of what the difference between her strategy is, misunderstandings of what solidarity with countries like Iran and Russia means, etc. And so that's why we endlessly talk about that stuff. Even if it seems like it's creating like a friction between us, but again, it's not. It's not about a friction because it's about the only reason we say that is because we do believe that the strategy of only having only having reformism leaves one unable to fight against the fate that faced Karl Liebknecht and Rosa Luxemburg. I hope that makes sense. Yep, even indigenous way of life has been demonized too, yet it works well with ML thinking. Yes, of course. Of course. And that's why, Lasso, I do tell people not to stop at reading Marx, right? Like, in fact, you don't even have to read Marx if we're at the end of the day, if we're being real. If you read Amilcar Cabral, if you read Frantz Fanon, if you read Glenshon Coulthard, then you're getting the Marxist-Leninist education, right? Because it's a system of analysis. It's a tool of understanding. It's not a fucking doctrine written by Marx. At the end of the day, in love with tears in my eyes, just want people to understand where I'm coming from. I have a transpose and trans kids. Trans kids are. I understand. And DS of. Okay. I just don't understand what I'm supposed to. Okay. Lots of comrade. Lots of trans people are responding to you. So I'm not trying to be rude, but like that's kind of like an anecdotal thing, right? And again, I don't understand. Am I impeding the DSA in some way? Right? I do understand where you're coming from. And the one something that I say constantly is like the one thing we know about DSA members generally is that we morally align with so many of them. That's the whole reason why we don't have a moral difference, right? We agree on so many moral things. We agree on so many questions. That's why the only difference that we can talk about is a strategic difference. Is me talking about a strategic difference in some way reducing the ability of DSA members? I don't believe so. Because again, this system will continuously reproduce DSA members, Democratic Socialists. Right? They will always outnumber us. I'm in love with tears in my eyes, trying to grow an alternative movement that is necessary for us to go forward.